The power of pregnancy is about not only harnessing your energy to become a radiant mother, but ultimately to be a more whole woman. Hi, I'm Renee Airya, and I wanted to take a couple minutes to share some very valuable insights that have come to me during my pregnancy journey about the true power of pregnancy. This is my first pregnancy. I'm going to be 43 the week of his due date. And I have to admit, I actually knew very little about pregnancy. But I now, being 8 months pregnant, would like to share some of the insights that I've had, because I believe for the majority, we have a lot of things wrong about the concept and the practices of pregnancy. As soon as I became pregnant, I had a lot of people who immediately started sharing with me exactly how much my life was going to change. And I would say probably 80% of the feedback that I was getting was that my life was going to now become more difficult. I was going to have so much less time to spend on the things that I love, that I wasn't going to sleep for a couple years, that I was going to lose my fit physical body, and so on and so forth. The expenses, all the things that I would need to buy for this baby. And I have to be honest with you, this did not feel good at all. And I thought to myself, there has got to be a way out there, some sort of practice that can really help me to cultivate the type of experience that I want to have during my pregnancy, which is ultimately participating in the remembrance of myself as a woman and using this sacred time to become more whole. Not only to become a beautiful mother on the other side of this, but to become a more beautiful and a more whole woman. Some of the things that I have discovered along the way is that there are many different practices that we can do during the prenatal process. And a couple of those things that I have chosen is chiropractic, acupuncture, and very specific exercises and stretches that are helping to get my baby into position so that I can ultimately, hopefully, have an easy, natural birth. Something else that I have learned in this process is that we as women can get very attached to how it is that we see the birthing process, whether we want a C-section or we want an epidural or we don't want an epidural or we want a home birth. There is a lot of emphasis that women can put on exactly how their child is going to come through that sometimes can actually end up leading to more stress and more strain during the birthing process. I have done some very deep meditation around what I would love for the birth to look like, and at the same time have communicated with my son, letting him know that he also has the ability to participate in how he would like his birth to be, and ultimately leaving it in the knowing that all births are sacred. Most people think that the pregnancy process is over as soon as the baby is born. And this, my friends, I'm learning is not correct at all. In fact, I went back and started studying different cultures, Ayurveda being one of the concepts, around the idea that there is actually a window after the baby is birthed that is one of the most important times of pregnancy for both the mother and for the baby, because that is the time that you actually have to focus on nourishment. The particular process that I'm referring to is called the 40-day sacred window process. And this involves a lot of very specific eating rituals, and also rituals like staying in the home with the family and not being out in all of the energy of the world right after the baby is born. And also really specific herbs and tonics and oil massage for both the mother and for the baby. So I found this super fascinating because I realized that a lot of time in Western culture, I was hearing so many conversations focused on, okay, well, as soon as you have the baby, you need to get the perfect stroller and the perfect, baby carrier, and expect to be carrying all this stuff with you all of the time. And a lot of these conversations for me personally were actually quite draining. So I thought, wouldn't it be so much more supportive and generative to actually focus on nourishment during the birth and after the birth, so that you can set yourself and your baby up for a greater chance of a lifetime of health. The other part that I have personally found is not fully necessary, but I will say complementary to the prenatal and the postnatal process, is partnership. So when I went back and studied these ancient cultures and the practices of after-birth nourishment, what I noticed is that the emphasis was not only on the baby, but was on the baby and the mother. But I thought to myself, wouldn't it be so beautiful to actually have the participation of the father of the baby in this process of nourishment and connection? So this to me has become a very vital part of my own, not only postnatal plan, but also my prenatal experience, because my partner and I have decided that he will also be a part of this postnatal 40-day sacred window process, where he will be there with myself and with the baby, also enjoying the same dietary nourishment, the same oil massaging, the same experience of deep bonding and connecting, so everybody wins. The power of pregnancy is not just about the baby, it is about the mother, and can ultimately be about serving the family unit for a lifetime. So mothers and mothers-to-be, none of this is about getting it perfect. It's about being able to show up in awareness and to be conscious about our choices, prenatal and postnatal. Our thoughts, our visions, our plans, our fitness, the way that we're eating, the things that we're buying. If you ask yourself the question, is this nourishing? That is a directive that you can use to ultimately be able to have a more productive and a more enjoyable, a more sustainable, and a healthier prenatal and postnatal process.